Hello all, this is Vivek Singhal with CellStrat AI Lab. I am the co-founder and chief data scientist with CellStrat, based in Bengaluru, India. I welcome all of you from India and abroad, and good morning to our colleagues here in India, and a very good evening to those who are attending from United States. So let's get started here. I am Vivek. I run CellStrat along with my co-founder Vishal. We are an India-based startup in GenAI space. We are furiously working on launching our new large language model applications platform called ImagineView.com, which I'll demo as well shortly later. Uh, we have a community of 16,000 AI scientists, which continues to grow in perpetuity. And we have created this community by the virtue of presenting, more than 400 or 500 AI webinars in the last 5 years. So we have been doing AI research when nobody was talking about it, and ChatGPT broke out and created a FOMO across the world, and now everybody is interested in this technology. So we had developed a platform called CellStrat Hub a few years back, which is basically an ML platform for AI acceleration, learning acceleration, and rapid AI deployment, which was more of a dev tools platform similar to Hugging Face. And now we are working on our moonshot Gen AI product called ImagineView. Right. So we'll be announcing the launch of our LLM applications platform, which is called ImagineView, sometime this month. We are almost there, where the first version is going to launch. We have an email waitlist of 20,000 emails as well, who have waiting for our upcoming product launch. And so very excited about the Gen AI space and our upcoming product launch. Any questions about CellStrat, about myself, or the AI space in general by anybody? Before we continue for today, change the topic. Unfortunately, the original presenter could not make it, so I stepped in to present my view of the LLM space. Any questions before I proceed further? Okay, so I'm assuming all good and no questions as of yet. So let's get started here. I'm going to kind of make it more of a discussion format, because I stepped in last moment. I don't have a new topic per se, but I did talk about a recent topic of an LLM architecture overall, and I'm going to sort of review that again. So for some of you who feel it's a repeat, I welcome your comments and insights about the whole LLM space. And those who feel didn't attend the previous ones, you'll get a chance to hear our views on LLM space in this session. So let's get going. Since I didn't hear any questions, so I'm going to share my screen and discuss the topic I was going to discuss today. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now. Okay, folks are still joining. Okay, so just to set some context. So as I said, I run CellStrat. We have 2 years back, we launched this AI ops platform called CellStrat Hub, which is a Hugging Face style AI projects and APIs. And just a moment, folks are still joining. So you can see the names of our community contributors as well below the area name or domain name, Shang, Gautaman, Nikhil, etc. So we have a community of 16,000 AI scientists to help us develop projects and products. And so our community is a strength, and we have patiently created this community over last 5 6 years by doing lots of webinars, close to 500 webinars perhaps, right? So that's where we are. And this also has an Jumpstart API marketplace. You can learn, develop, and deploy AI quickly and efficiently here, right? You can learn, develop, and deploy AI quickly and efficiently, right? So that's what our messaging says. Well, this is more of business focus, but it's really a dev tools platform, right? And we have many clients for AI and generative AI, particularly in Western markets. And we also have a blog where we have written 400 research blogs or more than that, uh, over across 2 different blog portals, right? So this is our upcoming Gen AI platform. It's called ImagineView. We have recently rebranded from Imagine GPT to ImagineView, and I can explain you the reason for that a little later. So this, we are developing a suite of LLM apps for businesses for democratizing access to a large language model, capabilities for businesses around the world. And the first tool here is the knowledge base miner. We are in the process of launching this as a product soon, and we hope to start monetizing this as well, sometime later this month, right? So let me quickly demo it so you know about our product as well, even though this is not meant to be a sales pitch webinar. But I love to show off my products, which we have developed with immense hard work, and of course with massive contribution from our very large and dedicated AI community, if you will. Many of you are members of our community. If you are not members of our community, then you are welcome to join us. Right, so I am demonstrating. I hope the product is, because last night the team was working on it. We are adding some subscription plans on this platform, so we can start selling or monetizing this platform in near future. So I've uploaded a PDF file. Now I can ask it random questions. So that was a PDF file by McKinsey and Company, management consulting firm, where 4 McKinsey partners are discussing the potential of generative AI. One of the gentlemen's name is Michael Chui. So I'll just ask, what does Chui think of Gen AI? So it is using the RAG algorithm with VV8, embedding, and not Pinecone, but VV8 embedding. And then we are of course using GPT 3.5 API to generate the answer, right? And using LangChain, RAG, VV8, and OpenAI GPT API, right? So it correctly answers the question. And so I can ask random questions. Who are the authors of this document? So here we are using RAG, also called Retrieval Augmented Generation. We have embedded that PDF, uh, you know, using a VV8 embedding network. And we have, and then of course we do RAG or semantic search on it, and using LangChain RAG algorithm. And then we call GPT for generative answer, right? So any questions on this platform? And very soon we will start monetizing it sometime this month with the subscription plan. So currently it is offered as a sort of a beta, free of cost. Anybody can just sign up and start using it. I can also enter websites, CSV, and text files, PDF, Word doc. So I can enter 6 different kinds of data formats, and it will embed it instantaneously. And within 30 seconds, you can start chatting with your literature. So it's meant as an information mining product for corporates around the world. Any questions on this? Okay. So I guess you all are used to some of these things. ChatGPT has some of these things. So indeed, we'll be in a race with the big tech, where they'll start keep adding these features as native or free features in their respective chatbots. But yes, we have our own sort of roadmap and unique capabilities, which we'll keep adding and differentiate ourselves from the big tech, LLM models or application of LLM models. We are not at foundational layer. we do have a strategic research, mindset. We have a upcoming sort of a strategic research, foundation, if you will, and we have a group of AI researchers and thought leaders with whom we are planning to put together a kind of a non-profit strategic research group, and where we will be doing slightly more moonshot research around foundational models. But this particular platform is more about using the best of breed foundational models such as Llama or GPT for enabling LLM capabilities for global businesses delivered over a SaaS delivery model, which is this platform. Any comments or questions? Okay. All right. So yeah, this is not a secret. I already mentioned it, Ashutosh. So we are using GPT 3.5, right? Maybe GPT 3.5 Turbo, I'm not sure, API. And currently we are using Viviet, a vector database. Earlier we tried Pinecone, but it was very expensive. So we moved to Viviet, slightly less expensive in AWS. And we are using RAG algorithm. And so it is still sort of basic workflow of RAG. We are using LangChain and RAG, and we are using various LangChain capabilities to read various kinds of data formats. So it's a very common stack. The LLM is GPT API. GPT API. All right. Any other questions? There's not secret. Most of the startups are following the same stack, but the differentiation sort of starts from here onwards, right? So what we are doing beyond the basic stack is where the product mode will kick in. And some of those things are indeed confidential, only shared with our strategic product team. But a lot of the things are common sense, such as chain of thought, tree of thought, or variety of other techniques to improve the answers from the large language model. Currently, we are using GPT 3.5, and we are soon in the paid subscription plan. We'll be upgrading 4.0 for the paid users. Yes, the free tier access will only offer GPT 3.5, but the paid users will be able to access GPT 4. And the pricing on our pricing page is very, very nominal because we are in the Chat GPT Plus, domain. So whose cost is $20 per month. So we can't really surcharge that much. Otherwise, we will become not competitive. So there is still some gross margin available even at a low price point. So it is going to be more of a volume business model, if you will. I mean, it's really if you are launching a product startup, it really depends on where you want to play, right? Do you target the small and medium enterprises, or large enterprise Fortune 1000 companies is your focus area, right? Is it country specific? Let's say India centric, or is it let's say multilingual for your European languages or Middle East languages or Indian native languages, right? So yesterday Bhavish Agarwal of Ola announced Kratrim AI, right? So this is press all over. So they are claiming that they have trained an LLM on 10 Indian languages. And I mean, these guys, they are good in burning money, a lot of money and burning it away. So we remains to be seen whether they can replicate their success in deep tech, because deep tech is not all about money alone, right? You need slightly more mission-driven personality and interest in R&D and product innovation, and not just the ability to raise hundreds of millions of dollars and burn it to ground in next 1 year and raise the next round, right? So I think for deep tech success, Indian unicorn founders are going to have to evolve a bit. I feel that's my personal view. Just by hiring 100 PhDs from MIT is not going to do it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let's continue with what I was trying to discuss. So it's a repeat, unfortunately. Who attended my previous webinar might have seen it already. So by the way, we are planning to introduce Llama 2. Okay, we are using GPT, but indeed a lot of our customers are asking for a private LLM experience because they don't want to send their data to OpenAI Microsoft servers. Again, very common fact. and known fact in the industry. So we are planning to introduce a Llama 2 or Falcon or Mistral AI version of the product we have, so that we can provide privacy, to our corporate customers, which they want. Any other questions? So a lot of these things are no secret. Everybody is doing the same thing. But as I said, the differentiation starts from here on, and some of the things we do in our LLM workflow will start differentiating our product from the all other products or ChatGPT for that matter. Uh, I mean, learning from other vector databases, we tried Pinecone, nothing wrong with it, but it was pretty expensive. And so we already have pretty significant AWS cloud costs, even though we have credits, but they'll run out sooner than later. So we have now moved to Viviet, which is a cheaper, vector DB. And a lot of people use, I think, Chroma or something. So there are many good ones. It's not just one good vector database. Okay. Okay. So let's come back to, so I have discussed this recently, I think 1 or 2 weeks back only, but kind of repeated because it is still something good to reinforce. And some of you might have attended my last presentation last week or before that, and I did discuss it, but it would be a good sort of revision, if you will. And for many of you, it may still be new. So this is sort of a reference architecture which Andreessen Horowitz venture capital firm has on their blog, which I'm referencing. You can see in the center, there is an orchestration layer. So this is sort of a central management or workflow layer where you have Python or do it yourself, DIY. LangChain has been the leader for orchestration, but Llama Index is gaining ground. Tomorrow, Sunday, we have a fantastic webinar on Llama Index by one of our topmost AI experts, Bismillah. So don't miss that. Even today, Saturday afternoon, Indian time, we have a very interesting webinar on recommendation system on using GPT by Hani Yadav of IIT Delhi. So don't miss that either. So one webinar today, one in the morning tomorrow. A very interesting series is going on. Chat GPT can also be used for orchestration, it seems. Now, very few people probably have tried a Chat GPT based orchestration, but it can be used. Most people use LangChain, but Llama Index is gaining ground because of certain advantages, which our presenter Bismillah will discuss tomorrow, Sunday webinar. So on the top left, you see contextual data coming in through data pipelines or data engineering, pipelines such as Databricks or Airflow or unstructured databases or RDBMSs for that matter. And then you have an embedding model in Hugging Face or OpenAI or Cohere. And then you store it in vector databases like Pinecone, Viviet, Chroma, etc. And in context based learning basically means how do you adapt the LLM to your proprietary data set, right? That's what today's topic is, in context learning, right? So what I mean by that, so in context learning or ICL means that how do you adapt the LLM to answer questions specific to your data set, right? Or your corporate data set. So that's what we are trying to mean when we say the word in context learning or ICL. So one of the ways to do in context learning is you do few short prompting, right? So you give few questions and answers, and you tell the LLM, well, this is how the answer should be for this kind of question, right? There's also, of course, instruction fine tuning, which comes under the, I mean, that can be another way you can create a question answer database for instruct fine tuning, which is also listed on OpenAI website. But few short in the prompt itself, few short examples in the prompt itself is another way to instruct it, how your answers should look like for given these kind of questions, right? So uh, you can also set up a chain of thought, of tree of thought paradigm with certain templates where you define the workflows, how the LLM should do step-by-step logical reasoning, and then orchestration layer will of course pull or interact with the vector database using APIs or plugins, and then the actual output kicks in, right? So just a moment, folks still joining. So those who joined later, yeah. So welcome all those who joined later. So we are in started our LLM presentation for the day. Uh, let me just give you a moment to settle in. There's a question here. Let me see that. How do you ensure data from one user is not visible to other users? Also, can I have a team access all my data based on their role? Yes. So lot of these, as of now in our ImagineView platform, we are adding, login, right? So if you go to imagineview.com, you'll have to create a login. So your data is only visible to you. So it is at individual user level at the moment. Now we'll be doing access control on data sets in our upcoming product features. So I won't discuss all the details on that product roadmap yet due to proprietary reasons, but we will be providing all kinds of access control paradigms, yes, to the embeddings, to the data sets and so forth, and of course corporate support with enterprise accounts and whatnot. Okay, any other questions while folks are still joining? Okay. So you can see here that this is a pretty good diagram of the overall LLM solution architecture. And it's not something too novel. All of us are probably working on this kind of architecture, at least a good number of these modules. So we did in context learning with few shot prompting. Now it is ready for actual LLM or Q&A orchestration. User sends a query, and it uses the LLM in the backend to formulate the appropriate response based on the custom embeddings you have in the vector database, and then it gives you the output, right? And this is hosted on a web server like Vercel, Streamlit, Netlify, and bunch of others. And then this orchestration layer is talking to the actual backend LLM, whether it's a proprietary API from OpenAI, GPT, or Anthropic Claude, and there are APIs, there are proprietary APIs, there are open source APIs like Hugging Face or Applicate, and the whole thing will be hosted naturally on a cloud. AWS, GCP, Azure are the leading clouds. In recent years, this CoreWeave cloud company has become quite prominent with GPU renting, and I think the team came out of AWS or something who set up this startup and got a lot of funding as well. And then Databricks and any other opinionated cloud run pod. I don't know exactly what is an opinionated cloud, but it's here anyways. And then you can have Redis cache if you want for large scale LLM operation. These weights and biases very popular for metrics and introspection of your AI workflow, right? And there are other things like ML flow which actually enable the same thing. But weights and biases is the leader in this space of LLM logging or instrumentation or metrics of the AI operation. And then you can have validation with guardrails and third-party guardrails as well. So many open source LLMs don't have any ethical guardrails, but GPT does have guardrails, and it has been trained with reinforcement learning with human in the loop, or RLHF, reinforcement learning with human feedback, to make sure it doesn't lead to abuse or other situations. Right. So what is RBAC, Durga? I'm sorry, I'm lost here. What is RBAC? You can speak as well. Keep it interactive. Role-based access to info. I mean, absolutely. See, currently our system ImagineView is purely individual user based, right? So nobody else can see your user account and your data which you upload there. Other users cannot see, right? And in future, we are going to add account-based control as well, because our whole platform is meant for the enterprise, right? Or particularly small and medium enterprises to begin with. So we will have account-based control over access to embeddings and data sets which have been uploaded or ingested. So either the ready-made products we have can service what they can service, or we also have a AI services or solution division in CellStrat, where we do number of projects already for global clients as custom, AI project development or custom AI consulting. So we have three major divisions in CellStrat. One is our massive community, which is all of you. The number exceeds 16,000 members currently, 15,000 students, and we that is our first sort of community and evangelism division, and we write blogs and marketplace there. Then we have a AI services or solution consulting division where we have number of clients who are already paying us. So we are a revenue generating startup for the last few years, particularly in US clients. And then we have our third product division now, which is developing our moonshot Gen AI product, right? So we have three business divisions. If you need custom AI solutions, we can provide that as well. Any other questions? Okay. So as I said, we have the good fortune of having a massive community sort of rooting for us, which is all of you as well, and backing us with all kinds of support and technical contributions. And we are very grateful for the community support, to say the least. And that allows us to keep the cost very low and do a lot of work even as a very small startup team. So you can see some of the players or the brand names in different modules which were shown there, right? So we mentioned most of these names in that diagram. And this is a moving list. As you know, every week new companies are popping up and taking lead in various component sections, right? So there is Falcon LLM now, and there is Mistral AI from France. So there's a lot of companies popping up, and sometimes they suddenly break out and do well. And I'm sure all of you and all of us as well aspire to be in these kind of lists, right? So if we do, I believe if we work hard, we build our support system through our community and our supporters, our angels, our mentors, then, and we do good work, we do value addition to our customer, we are an unstoppable force. So I'm a very optimistic person by nature, and if we do good work, we will find a good ROI. So it's just a good area to be in. If you do good work, eventually you will find success as a product startup or as an enterprise project team. It's just a matter of working hard, learning the things very well, and then producing good products. That's all. It's not rocket science. It's the usual formula. And so we were discussing in context learning, right? So in context learning is there are two kinds of things we see primarily in context learning. Actually, three things I would say. So first would be the prompt engineering framework, right? How you prompted with few shot prompting, or generally innovating the prompt, a chain of thought prompting, tree of thought prompting. There are a lot of such things in prompt engineering. So that is one paradigm. The second type of in context learning which I see is RAG, right? So you upload your corporate data set, you embed it using that Pinecone or VV8 embedding framework, and then you can do semantic search on using LangChain or Llama Index pipeline, and then using the matched parts of your corporate embedding, you can send a prompt to GPT to generate the correct answer. So we discussed number one, prompt engineering innovations. Second, RAG workflow. The third would be LLM fine tuning. So these are the three ways I see what I'd like to refer under this domain of in context learning. So again, I'll repeat it: prompt engineering innovation, RAG, and fine tuning. So fine tuning is the ultimate, right? So fine tuning means actually uh, incremental machine learning on the LLM model. So its weights gets adjusted to your specific corporate data set. So that we have a team in our CellStrat AI community which is actually working on showcasing a fine tuning demo. And hopefully we hope to productize it on our ImagineView platform, but it doesn't look so easy so far. But so fine tuning may need a custom AI project per project or client. But definitely we are doing RAG on ImagineView successfully and very well, very accurately on our platform. And many startups are doing, many product teams are doing. And of course, prompt engineering is getting a lot of attention where people are playing with various kinds of prompt engineering techniques such as COT, TOT, and lots of other techniques. Right. So if I am missing something or I am still a learner here. So let me know what you think about the whole paradigm of in-context learning. And there's a question by Subhash: for customers in India having need to have data within country for in-context AI use case. With GPT 3.5, sir, it's not possible. The data ends up going to OpenAI Microsoft servers, and OpenAI Microsoft is happily ingesting global data because everybody has to use their API. They are still a state-of-the-art LLM, but many corporate companies are very desperate to have private LLM options, and that is why open source LLMs which are downloadable, such as Llama 2, Mistral, or Falcon, are breaking out. Anthropic and OpenAI are not downloadable; they are only available as APIs. But you do end up sending data to their servers. Yes. Okay. Hope that answers that question. So I want to have a discussion, not a lecture. So any other thoughts? Please speak up. Speaking is more interesting than chatting. Yeah.
So Vivek, quick question on the same point on clients in India, not able to use GPT for the data privacy. So what is the option like if there is a client for a use case within Indian, say, government sector?
Hmm.
So how do you ensure that data which is lies within, and what is the maturity of the algorithm if it is not GPT 3.5?
No, very sophisticated private LLMs are now available, right? One of our topmost reference customers is this company or this product called Freedom GPT in Austin, Texas, right? So this client asked us to make a private chatbot, right? An uncensored, unbiased private chatbot, which you can see in the blue branding. And we used Llama 1 and then Llama 2 now to create a totally downloadable private LLM chatbot. And this can download on Windows or Mac personal computer. I believe this client has now received more than 500,000 downloads on Mac primarily, but also Windows computer. It was meant for more of a premium Mac audience, if you will. And but later on, they did launch a cloud version, which is they are successfully now monetizing. But they were able to create a large wait list of emails using the download capability. They have not tried to charge for the download model though. So this is an example of what I also refer as edge AI computing, even though edge AI is typically used in a different sense, but I use edge AI word more broadly. Anything which runs on the customer edge or premise, I call it as edge AI. But historically, edge AI meant something running on a sensor or the chip, or actually running on a smartphone locally. Also, we used to refer as edge computing. Anyway, so this is a download version and a cloud version. The cloud version they are monetizing quite well. The download version is free, but it helped them create a large email marketing database. So now very sophisticated, private LLM options exist using something like Llama 2 LLM, which is a downloadable LLM. You can go to Hugging Face and download the whole LLM or the GitHub of Llama and run the whole thing locally. Or you can use, I believe, Mistral AI is also a downloadable LLM from a French company, and Falcon from United Arab Technical Authority. So these are some very good private LLMs which I am aware of. Uh, OpenAI, GPT, and Anthropic are only available as API. So I think GPT is still ahead now. Bard, I have to check still Bard and Gemini from Google. Uh, I think it is API if I'm not wrong. I haven't really looked into it really. You all can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So for Government of India use cases, clearly a very private LLM solution is possible by all means.
Okay, thanks, Vivek. Thanks. Yeah.
So recently I happened to visit Air Force Technical Center in North West Bangalore uh, to meet some personal contact. But before that, I had gone to the Air Force Engineering Core Training Center in Bangalore, and they wanted everything on premise, right? So for defense forces, and this is Indian Air Force, so they wanted everything obviously on their private cloud. And about 1 year back, I had given a lecture to all about 50 to 100 AI engineers of Air Force Engineering Corps, and they wanted the whole AI lab set up on their campus, on their premise. Very, very strict firewall, as you can imagine. So, but that was pre Gen AI days. And recently, when I visited for another reason, they were discussing about the same AI lab concept, but it has to be very private within the Air Force, IT firewall. So obviously, the privacy requirements there are very brutal, and their audits are very brutal, right? Because very sensitive stuff is there. And same would be true of US Department of Defense. And so even governments and Department of Defense would like very private technological stack. Uh, I believe OpenAI, for select enterprises like JP Morgan and many others, they do provide a very private kind of stack, because these customers are so big that even OpenAI with their heft cannot ignore, some of these largest companies, and they are forced to sort of break their rule of an API-based architecture and provide a very private stack for that particular multinational or large customer. Because sometimes one such customer could be hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, which even OpenAI will not be willing to forego, because only for small mortals like us they will not give that option. But for the biggest of their customers, they do give a very private option. So anyway, so Edge AI is very much possible and available now. So continuing with in-context learning, so we discussed three ideas. One is prompt engineering and its variety of innovation techniques, how to prompt and get the desirable answer. So that is one style of in-context learning. Second was RAG, or a semantic search paradigm on your corporate data embeddings. And the third is fine-tuning, which is the ultimate, but fairly complicated. So if I am missing something or you have a different point of view, let me know. At the end of the day, I'm still learning the whole thing. Okay. So there's also a context length limit situation, right? So we know there is a problem of a context length limit. So the problem with context length limit is that many of these LLMs have a limited context length, and this is where one of the differentiation from or Anthropic, the startup which is now highly funded though, they claim one of the largest context length limit for the prompt or the chat paradigm. So that is a limit to which we have to somehow overcome for long form conversation, long form documents, long form prompts. So there are a lot of techniques how to work around context length limits, right? So that will also amount to some kind of innovation in your respective product startup. Okay. So so uh, so there is data pre-processing embedding, there's prompt construction retrieval, prompt execution inference. So these are just elaborating on the various architectures modules above which were already discussed. So I'm just sort of cursing through it. This is a very exciting area. Yesterday on LinkedIn, I saw a post, uh, a mixture of expert LLMs. So they are beginning to apply what we call as ensemble learning on LLMs, right? So they are saying instead of using one LLM, we are going to use an ensemble, or I don't know how to pronounce that word, ensemble of LLMs for cluster response. So similar to a random forest. I mean, a neural network by intuitively is a ensemble technique, but random forest was another ensemble learning in classic ML domain. So now they are saying mixture of expert LLMs. There's a new thing coming. And every week, every day, we see some new things popping up, right? Now there's workflow automation with AI agents such as Auto GPT, right? There's workflow automation, which is still an emerging area. We haven't seen a whole lot on this yet. So how do you orchestrate a workflow? So you say, go and develop a website for me, right? That's all you say. Then it will do a series of steps to actually achieve that end to end, right? So that will be truly a robotic workflow automation of an entire workflow you want to ask it to do. So prompt engineering is a pretty interesting area. And in fact, the last weekend only we presented a webinar on chain of thought and tree of thought, which was very interesting by Shruti C, an AI scientist with I think Accenture, as part of our community, and she presented the paper of main paper of COT and TOT, which is very interesting how that works. So there are a lot of prompt engineering algorithms such as COT, TOT, and there are many other techniques which is shown on this Wikipedia page. So we are barely scratching the surface in terms of learning about variety of prompting techniques. You can see, I mean, I had not heard of most of these names till I saw this page recently. I just knew COT, TOT, but there are so many other ways you can do prompt setup to achieve certain kinds of outcomes. RAG we are using, so RAG is very popular with most product startups, most product teams, including us as well, right? So we haven't even gotten to the image and audio and video, so there is a lot of innovation coming in that segment. Okay, so that was sort of a overview of the LLM reference architecture, and I showed you three ways of doing in context learning or discussed that. If you know of any other techniques, let me know. But I just know of three things so far: prompt engineering, retrieval augmented generation, also called RAG for short, and fine tuning, right? And if you were to delve a little more in fine tuning, so fine tuning LLMs, right? Fine tuning LLMs. So fine tuning large language models. And so this here we have seen, or we are seeing techniques like PEFT, right? Parameter efficient fine tuning. So fine tuning means actually adjusting the weights of your LLM model. And basically, in the old days, we used to call it incremental machine learning, right? Same thing. Incremental machine learning is taking a baseline model like ResNet, right, and then adjusting its weights for your custom data sets, right? That's what we meant by transfer learning or incremental machine learning. So fine tuning sounds like that to me. We are changing the weights of the core LLM to perform better on my specific data corpus. So let's say you wanted to create a legal AI startup. So Harvey AI got a valuation of $700 million recently, a Bay Area startup, and they are into the business of legal LLM. So you have to fine tune the LLM on the legal data set, right? So pretty significant or large job, you need large compute capacity for that as well. So three ways of fine tuning: self-supervised learning, supervised learning, reinforcement learning. So yeah, I mean, we kind of know these techniques from coming from traditional machine learning domain, right? Self-supervised, but was trained in a self-supervised manner. The previous way of doing embedding from Google AI team. And supervised learning is instruction fine tuning, where you specify input output prompts and it learns that pattern between input and output. And of course, reinforcement learning, where you optimize the model based on human feedback. So humans will score the output of a LLM model, and then you retrain it using PPO algorithm. So PPO or RLHF has been used in ChatGPT to get better answers, and also ensure guardrails are in place so that humans will mark out the abusive or wrong answers. So this is one way of looking the three kinds of fine tuning. There are other specific techniques like PEFT, parameter efficient fine tuning, QLoRa, right, quantitative LoRa adaptation, low rank adaptation model, and there's instruction fine tuning as well. So PEFT, QLoRa, or LoRa, and instruct fine tuning. That's another way of seeing the algorithms. So all of these are to ensure you can see PEFT here, transfer learning PEFT, of parameter efficient fine tuning, and LoRa or QLoRa. So a lot of learning to do, a lot of projects to do for all of us. We are barely starting this whole new domain, right? Those who don't know basic machine learning, deep learning, I suggest you sign up for some basic courses, because trying to get to Gen AI and transformer neural networks directly without having fundamental grounding in classic machine learning and deep learning is a little adventurous activity, and you struggle with a lot of the concepts. So I do recommend, if you want to ask me a recommended training pathway, so I would say first we should do ML course, right? Then we should do DL course from wherever, whichever training company you like, Coursera, Udemy, even CellStrat, we have courses. Then I do recommend, if you want to get into LLMs, a natural language processing course. There's a very good course on large language model by Coursera and deeplearning.org, right? And then you start developing some projects and products, right? So this is the recommended learning pathway we try to recommend to whoever asks us, how do I get into this whole Gen AI space of LLMs? And of course, if you want to get into image processing also, then I would recommend a Vision AI course. The recommended pathway would be ML course, TL course, Vision AI, and then you can see projects on Stable Diffusion, which is an image generator, or Daily 2, or Mid Journey, which is a video generator, if you will. So I think the image and or audio and video is still a lot of ripe for disruption. Most of the LLM work we see so far is on text, innovations. So when I was in Bay Area in September, I was listening to the AI legend Andrew Ng in a major conference. So Andrew Ng is saying I had predicted the large language model evolution last few years, and now I am suspecting that image is going to be next. So something big in images around the corner. We don't know what, when, by who will do it. Maybe OpenAI will do it. Maybe Google will do it. We don't know. Or one of you might do it through your product. So something big in images down the corner, as per Andrew Ng's prediction. So far, it has a lot of it has been about text and large language models, and of course, then audio, video, and other kinds of data formats are in the future. There are other kinds of data formats in the world, such as multi-spectrum frequency, which is sort of a frequency domain data set. Think of space research and the various radio waves and frequencies. That's another kind of data format in my view. So, I mean, a lot of interesting innovation is around the corner, and not even talking about quantum computing and quantum machine learning, which is also down the line somewhere in next few years. Okay. Any questions on this learning pathway? So we have a lot of these courses. You have lots of good courses from the likes of Coursera or Udemy, or Simply Learn or Upgrade, whichever you like to do. Bits Pilani has a good work WILT program, which many people like to do. Okay. All right. So that was, I guess, it. I can't think of anything else from my side for today's discussion. A short webinar today. I had to step in for another gentleman who couldn't make it. So I encourage you to sign up for our email waitlist for our upcoming product launch, ImagineView, and we hope to give you a good product and see if you would be interested in using it. So that's all I have for today. Open to any open discussion now. Okay, then thank you for joining and have a good day. We do have another webinar in couple of hours.